leadership lessons that people have never heard of from the book of Nehemiah that we can really put them on game.
Yeah, bro. Let's get to it. I think number one is Nehemiah. So you look at his journey, right? He is he's Artaxerxes, right? He is living under the king. He is his cupbearer in his palace. And Nehemiah has a burden in his heart. He has heard about the oppression of the Jews, just the challenges that they've experienced coming out of captivity, out of slavery to Babylon. And Nehemiah has a burden for his people. God begins to show him a problem through prayer, and he begins to act according to what God has said to prepare for what he believes God is going to do, the restoration of Jerusalem through the rebuilding of this wall first, right? And as Nehemiah jumps into this journey, like there's so many different phases you can hit on, but I think one of the bigger pieces is that as Nehemiah begins to get the resources, get the teams, everything that he needs to complete the mission, and he makes his way down to Jerusalem. Something that was very powerful was that there was a window of time where Nehemiah didn't tell anybody what he was doing. Like he knew what he was there to do. He had spoke with God. God had given him direction. But during this time, I believe it was 3 days, Nehemiah is surveying the damage, the destruction. He's getting very attuned to what needs to happen, the manpower that will be needed in certain spaces, because this wall was 2.5 miles long that they were going to rebuild. But he took this time to really spend with God and let God show him, so that when it was time for him to get in front of his team, he was well prepared, well versed to be able to share it and empower others to be able to want to step into it. So I think, man, number one leadership lesson with Nehemiah, he knew when to speak and when to be quiet.
That's cool.
Like that's a challenge I believe for a lot of believers.
Yeah.
Is that there are times where God has told us to speak and we're not speaking, and there are times where God has told us to refrain and we're speaking anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that, man, if you're gonna walk with God, you got to understand God is a God of rhythm.
Yeah.
Like he's a rhythmic God, meaning that he is moving. He has a cadence, and our charge is to submit ourselves and move with him, and move in step with him. And I think Nehemiah does a great job of, again, understanding when I should speak and when I should refrain.
Yeah.
Is this a moment to share that? Like, do I really need to share this with my spouse right now? Did God give me that to share? Or was that given to me so that I could pray about it and pray into that for them? So I think, bro, that would definitely be a big one with Nehemiah.
Yeah, I love that because, I think most of our leadership comes with our voice.
Right.
It's not about a lot of times what I do or how I do things those definitely play a part of it. But honestly, all leaders have a voice. When we talk about the calling of God, it's the voice.
Yeah.
God has spoken something over us, and so a big part of leadership is being able to use our voice. I think there's circumstances and situations that we probably find ourselves in where God is prompting us to speak, prompting us to say something, but we refuse to speak.
Yeah.
We refuse to encourage. We refuse to exhort. We refuse to rebuke, or we refuse to reprove, and we've limited our voice. And ultimately, what we have to understand is that if we have a prompting from the Holy Spirit, it's God is not trying to get us to use. He's trying to get us to use our voice, but really so that other people can hear His voice.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we'll find ourselves insecure because I don't think that I have the knowledge or the capacity or whatever. We find ourselves insecure with what we don't have. But God is like, no, I've given you a voice, and if you just speak, I will speak on your behalf. This is a big thing for Moses.
I was just about to say, bro, that's Moses.
Yeah, literally,
that is Moses.
The
bro.
biggest thing with Moses is just he's literally telling God, nah, I'm not gonna go speak. And God's like, no, you're gonna go do this. You're gonna go speak to Pharaoh. And he's like, no, but
I don't care about none of that.
God's like, I don't care. It's just man, but a lot of times, you're mentioning, bro, leaders know when to speak and when not to speak. And I think far too often we limit our voice, not knowing that we're limiting the voice of God.
Ooh.
So I think that's a huge part of using our voice, being able to lead. I think one of my kind of things that I see from Nehemiah is like his resilience, man. Like, bro was just dedicated to the mission.
For sure.
I think from from inception, he's just like he hears about what's going on with his people. And even his countenance changes. Like, you talk about having the emotional capacity to be able to feel and to be vulnerable for your spouse or from whomever. A lot of times, like, that burden for whatever, whomever, should in some ways change our natural disposition. And create whatever emotion. Maybe it is sadness. Maybe it is maybe it is grief. Maybe it is compassion, whatever emotion that is charged from that. But he doesn't stay there. He doesn't stay in just like, oh, I'm in the emotional phase, I'm gonna just stay in my feels. I'm gonna there's a resilience in moving past your feelings. There's a resilience in moving past how I feel, because a lot of times what God calls us to, we're not gonna feel like doing it. Not gonna feel like doing it. I'm sad. I'm hurt. I'm depressed. God's like, I need you to move. God says, I'm calling you. And so, like, even from Nehemiah's inception of this burden, like he's showing resilience. But then all throughout the process, man, like Nehemiah had to he was sent by the king. He's got resources. He goes back to Jerusalem, and he meets with people and whatnot. But at the same time, like Nehemiah, like he encounters I guess some resistance. Sanballat, biggest hater. Sanballat did not like this. Is his oppressor didn't like what he was doing, wondering like who is this guy coming in trying to show his authority, and why is he trying to help the Jews? Like what's he think he's gonna do? And just like man, he had so many obstacles sent by Sanballat himself, but Nehemiah was dedicated to the mission. Like he was just resilient. And I just feel like so many people at the quickest sign of opposition, the first sign of opposition, they want to give up, they want to stop. And if we're gonna be good leaders, bro, like we're gonna have to, one, expect opposition, but then also, two, we're gonna have to be able to be move past opposition. Like I just like too many people are like afraid to do hard things. Like you cannot be afraid to do hard things. Like we gotta know that like even Jesus tells us, he's like, man, like take heart, like the world is hard. He's just like, man, like the world is gonna send you many trials, but take heart, because I've overcome the world. We are overcomers through Christ. And so that speaks to the aspect of like, there will be trials, there will be hard things, but you got to also know that he who is in me is greater than he who is in the world.
Come on.
I can overcome. I will not stop at the first sign of resistance. I will continue to be resilient.
Resilient leaders have roots, bro.
Dang, that's good.
Like resilient leaders have roots. Like we're rooted. God has put us in situations where he's anchored us and rooted us. I feel like for a lot of leaders, man, especially when they start swaying towards the more toxic end, it's because they want reach without a root system. Like you haven't let God take you deeper, therefore he's not able to take you wider. Oh shoot, listen, if you don't got the right roots, bro, you'll fall over. Bro, you're done.
That speaks to a lot of why we see ministry leaders fall like they do. Bro. Why we see corporate executives make bad decisions, bro. Like they don't have good roots. Like they haven't been planted long enough. They somewhere along the line they've gotten away from their foundation, and that's why they fall over. Because at some point, like leadership, it gets heavy. Leadership will there will be sway. There's gonna be things that try to knock you over, and if you don't have good roots, you'll fall every single time.
Come on, I love it. I think number 4 leadership lesson, right, is vision. Like if you look at Nehemiah's life and you evaluate his life, Nehemiah has allowed God to cultivate him to cast a compelling vision. And it starts with hearing the word of God. Like there are 2 concepts that God is leading us to grow in. It is in faith and it is in grace. Faith is developed through hearing. Grace is developed through walking. Right? I love that. I develop a grace for people, right? The Bible says that grace is multiplied through the knowledge of God, right? So the grace I have for people is developed as I begin to deal with myself, as I begin to receive the grace that God has given me to deal with my addiction and my problems and my challenges, like I have a grace about me, man, to walk with others and to love others. So when you look at Nehemiah's life, man, you talk about, what are foundational parts of it, but it's his ability to hear. Like he hears of the challenges with the people, and it leads him into a prayer life with God. So I've heard the issues. I sense a burden, a troubling.
Yeah.
That's a key indication, man, of your calling, of where God is leading you to begin to sow. And out of that, he begins to pray for what is the problem, God, that you're calling me to address? Like, what is the problem that you want to use me to?
Yeah.
And for him, it is this rebuilding of Jerusalem, this rebuilding of the wall.
Yeah.
And out of that, man, Nehemiah gets a vision from God because he's partnering with him.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do this independent of him. Like if you look at the Israelites at one point in time, how they're handling the presence of God, the Ark of the Covenant. Like there were moments where Israel found themselves trying to carry the covenant as the culture, as the Philistines had previously done, rather than remembering how God had taught them to deal with his presence and the things of God. So we look at Nehemiah, man, again, I am doing this God's way. I am leaning into what God is saying in the direction that he is giving. I don't care how the culture is doing it. I don't care how they're moving and how they're shaking it. I am concerned with God's perspective, God's voice, how he's leading me. What is he saying? And in that, man, like as Nehemiah begins to hear the problem, as he begins to wrestle with the burden and enter into prayer with God, man, ultimately it leads him to begin to plan. Like he starts getting together a plan, bro. And all of this is the concept of vision. Like all of this is vision in the making.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he has a moment where he's definitely sharing it, and it begins to be something transformational for the people that motivates them. But like the vision starts in this quiet time with God. And now God is giving him the steps to this plan and the proximity to the people who would give him the resources to carry it out. So I think when you start talking about compelling leaders, like, leadership lesson, what is it? I think when it comes to our vision, man, like who are you getting your vision from? Like is ChatGPT giving you your vision for what you're going to do for God? And you co-signing God's name on it. But like, bro, are you spending time with God so he can give you a vision for his people? Like, are you allowing God to flesh out the burden that he's placed in your heart to be a solution that he sends? Are you allowing God, is your faith in God so that he can bring the resources for the vision that he's giving you? Like Nehemiah, I placed you here on purpose. I put you in a season that maybe at one point seemed insignificant, a cupbearer, but because of your persistence, your dedication to stay here, plant here, remain faithful here, I've given you proximity to influential people, a rich young couple who's going to give you the resources and fund what I put in your heart. So I think, man, so much of vision casting, is Nehemiah's, example of what it looks like to follow God and trust God and believe God for resources that will change a nation and the trajectory of his people.
Yeah, man. And I think so many people don't understand how important vision is in leadership, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like, bro, like man, like where you leading me to?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you say that you're a leader, but like where are we going?
Yeah.
We're like if you're leading, people are following.
Yeah.
What are we following you to?
Yep.
Like vision is so essential, and like you said, bro, like man, that comes from time with prayer, time with God. Like man, like in order to obtain the right vision, I need God to speak into it.
Yeah.
I need God to speak into my life, and I just feel like, man, like I found that so true for my life, man. Like and just like I think that one thing that somebody shared with me like early on, like before I got married, it was just like, bro, like man, cast vision to your wife.
Yeah, bro.
Like cast vision, like like because once again, like if we're like our women are our wives or spouses are supposed to be our helpmate.
That's a bar that you said to your wife, not your girlfriend.
Yeah. But I will say this though, like, cause some people do be trying to act married when they're not married. I will say that, but like I do think that that there is wisdom in leading with vision. Like, hey, this is where I'm about to go.
Yeah.
Like, I had to tell my wife, I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm called to be a pastor.
Yeah.
Like, but like it was like probably date number 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, like that's what's about to go on. And then as we, and so like that goes to say like, you don't tell everybody everything like the one time, but like I gotta let you know a little something, because if you don't want to be a part of this, then
I need you to go now.
Yeah, like we just need to know now. Like I need, so like you got to have some vision for your life so that you can share it with your potential spouse.
Yeah.
But like as time went on, like that became a little bit more defined. And I remember us having conversations of like, okay, like what does pastoring people look like for us, and what did it look like, and we started talking about it, and what that would be, and how we would do it, and how we would use our home. And so, man, bro, you gotta like lead with vision.
Yeah.
And I just remember like that was some of the best advice, and I honestly feel like I still don't do a great job at it. Like there's still like more vision that I can cast, and sometimes I'm just like running gun, and she's like, wait, what are we doing right now? And I'd be like, oh yeah, let me just back up real quick and lead with vision. Let me start with vision. So like I feel like that's so important. That's so important. I think the fourth thing that we can really get is that Nehemiah, like he had a burden from people. Like he had a burden for people. That's how this whole thing starts off. Like Nehemiah gets word that his people aren't doing well, that the city is in ruins. And he, like we say, he's visibly moved by it. The king notices his disposition has changed. He's like, hey, Nehemiah, like you're always in great spirits. What's going on? Like this is not like you. And Nehemiah starts sharing like, hey, like my people, they're in trouble. I'd like to go back home. And so like we constantly see this theme of Nehemiah having this burden for the Jewish people, and we even see that in later chapters. Like there's even a chapter where he realizes that even though the Jewish people had been let out of captivity, even they still had to pay taxes on the fields that they had to the king, and what some of the more influential Jewish leaders would do. They would lend the money to their own people, but they would mortgage their fields. And so pretty much if they couldn't pay them back for mortgaging their fields, then you have to give us your sons and your daughters to be our slaves. And so pretty much like the Jewish leaders and the affluent of that culture are pimping out their own people. And Nehemiah sees this. He's like, yo, this is wrong. Hey, what's up, Circle Up fam? So glad that you were able to tune in today. I hope you were blessed by the conversation. Here's what you need to do. You need to make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things. It's going to help us so much. And hey, you can actually check out the full conversation by clicking the link in the bio below. Peace out.